So I want to hear a little bit more about your wig journey, but
Mm.
but really give me a nugget, like you're talking to me, as if you're talking to the entire audience on, hey, how do I identify that I have a wig on? And then how do I get that wig off and gain the confidence and the freedom to just be the best me that I can be?
Those are some good questions, Curtis. The biggest thing to identify when identifying the wig is that you have to you ask yourself, what's holding me back?
Welcome to the Vision to Reality podcast. I'm your host, Curtis L. Jenkins, and in each episode, I speak with industry experts, thought leaders, and innovators to break down the strategies, techniques, and methods that turn their ideas into reality. Whether your vision is to scale your business, build and lead a winning team, prepare for your next big career move, this podcast is for you. Let's get started and bring your vision to reality. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Vision to Reality podcast, where we talk with inspirational people who've turned their personal and professional visions into reality. I'm your host, Curtis Jenkins, and I'm grateful that you've joined us today because we have an exciting episode lined up. We're talking about Own Your Ask, the power of authentic leadership and bold career moves, something that can make a huge impact on your career, your business, or leadership approach. And joining us today is the wonderful Joyel Crawford, who's an international TEDx speaker, award-winning certified professional career coach, and founder of Crawford Leadership Strategies. With 2 decades of experience, including leadership roles at Verizon Wireless, she empowers organizations like NASA, Amazon, and the New York Times to cultivate inclusive, impactful leadership. Her Amazon best-selling book, Show Your Ask, and her podcast, Career View Mirror, inspire professionals to own their voice confidently. Joyel's TED Talk, Why Should We Go Bald Together, has garnered over 1 million views worldwide. She's a proud member of the Forbes Coaches Council and the Newsweek Expert Forum, with expert insights featured in Forbes, Essence, The Wall Street Journal, and Good Morning America. Joyel also champions the National Alopecia Areata Foundation and leads certified minority-owned businesses. We're going to have a great show today. Welcome, Joyel.
Yes. Hi,
Hi,
Curtis.
how are you?
I am doing great today. It's the first day of summer. I am excited. It's a good day. It's a good day.
It is a good day. So you got so many accomplishments, and I got all these goosebumps, and I'm ready to jump in, right? And even the boldness of your book, Show Your Ask. Talk to me about that. Like, what made you come up with that title, and why is that important?
Well, I love a good play on words.
Yeah.
So I was doing a keynote probably a few months before I wrote the book. And I was talking about the importance of, closed mouths don't get fed. You've got to ask, you've got to verbally self-advocate for the help that you need, whether it be in your career or first for your health. And everyone was just really connected to that. Show your ask. And I was like,
Hmm.
there's something to this. And so I had talked with a publisher that I had worked on an anthology
Hmm.
with, a book anthology for Dr. Cheryl Woods. And I reached out to her and I was like, you know what, all my colleagues are writing books and I feel like I need to write a book. And I think the title is Show Your Ask. And she said, it's a good title.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we talked about like what would be in it. And the reason why I wrote the book was that, I've been doing a lot of master classes and different workshops with the concepts that I talked about in the book, like interviewing and finding a mentor or sponsor and taking care of yourself and negotiating for that raise. All those things are in the workshops I had done, but I can't coach the world. I would love to coach the world, but I can't get my message out one-on-one. It would take me a lifetime. So I figured I'd compile everything together, all of my stories and lessons learned. I learned the hard way so that others could, lead their lives a bit easier. And it's just really helped hundreds of people. I love getting messages in my inbox from people who've read the book and how it's changed their lives.
Yeah. I tell you what, it's a book that I actually learned about showing your ask, but I wish I had it early in my career. So anybody that has the chance to get the book, I
Mhm.
encourage them to get it now. There was an opportunity that came up where, I was a project manager and I was doing all the hardest projects. I was leading these integrations and my boss went to move on and the leadership asked a colleague of mine to step into leadership. And it blew my mind because I thought of the meritocracy. I thought,
Right,
I'm doing all the hard stuff. Why not me?
right.
And the most simplest thing somebody said to me was, well, Curtis, you never asked. You never shared any desire to be in leadership. You seemed so comfortable in what you were doing.
Mm,
And that just blew my mind. So it
mm,
taught me how to say out loud what I want, how to manifest what I want. So I resonate with that show your ask. And I had another situation where I had a whole captive audience. And
mhm.
at the end of it, the guy said, Curtis, you had all these CIOs in the room. You had us captive. What did you want from us? You never asked. Boy, did that blow my mind. So I resonate with this. And what I
Mhm.
want to hear from you is, somebody that's listening to this, why is this so important that you don't just kind of keep yourself in a space that keeps you down? You know you're doing hard work,
Mhm.
but you're expecting everybody else to just see it and just do stuff for you.
Right. Visibility is an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Um, it takes the action, right?
Hmm.
It's the setting the intention of being visible because as much as you think everyone sees you doing it, sometimes you need to be like, "Hello, I'm doing this." Like
Yeah.
you need to kind of advertise what you're doing. I call it campaigning for your career.
Yeah.
So it means putting yourself out there, showing that, like as you're introducing something, saying that you're the lead, point of contact on the project, or saying, in the interest of leadership, I took this on as a stretch goal, or, kind of leading it in so that everyone knows what you're doing.
Hmm.
So, because everyone just thinks you're just working.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to get to a leadership spot, just like what happened to you, people might just be like, well, he seems comfortable. He hasn't said anything.
Yeah.
Every time I met a new supervisor or manager, I told them, thank you for having me here. I can't wait to do a great job, but this is not my last stop. My
Okay.
final destination is X. And
Okay.
I wanted to be a manager in learning and development. And that was from day one when
Yeah.
I got hired as like a call center representative trying to answer the phones and program pagers. That's how long ago it was. I just made it known that's what I wanted to do. And I would show up, I would volunteer for visibility projects so that people knew I wasn't just all talk. I was really showing them that I wanted to move forward into the next role, next position, next leadership. So yeah, it's one thing to know your value. I say this in the
Yeah.
book all the time. It's one thing to know your value. It's another thing to show it. And
Okay.
you've got to set that intention to show your value all the time and let them know where you plan on going because no one knows your destination better than you do.
That's right. That's right. So you coach people
Mhm.
now and you've got the book and you've got programs and we'll talk more about those. But who should be listening to this right now?
Mm,
And what are some key messages that you want that person? So tell me who should be listening,
mm,
right?
mhm.
Where are they in their career? And then what are some key messages that you can kind of share with them?
Typically listens or who
Yeah.
I'd love to listen are either people who are new to their career
Yeah.
or mid to senior executive level. All right. So you're either new, just starting out, or you're in the middle and you're kind of chugging along, doing your thing, or you're in an executive level and you still want to kick it up a notch. Everyone feels stuck.
Hmm.
This is my ideal client is a person who feels like they're stuck, like they're not moving forward, they're not moving backward, they don't know where they want to go. There's kind of a lack of direction and they know they want something, but they're just not sure. So it's like you're lacking that clarity or that you feel like you're not moving forward as well or as quickly or as steadily as you'd like to. So that stuck looks like for a new hire or a new to career looks like I don't know how to speak up to my manager or coach
Yeah.
upwards, right? Stuck to a middle level manager or leader could look like I really want to get to the next level, but I just don't know how to get there and something's getting in the way. How can we fix this? And then
Yeah.
executive level is I got this team. and I just can't get them motivated to do more or to
Okay.
show up. So stuck could look like a whole bunch of different things, but I help leaders at whatever level get unstuck. I help them find the confidence and clarity in where they want to go because I feel like everyone's got a place to be and who they want to go. It's just my job on helping you get there.
Got it. Got it. So in your answer, you just kind of took me there. So I first I thought about Jane,
Mhm.
right? So we know who Jane is, right?
Mhm.
Jane is your avatar in that wonderful TEDx speech that you did, right? That
Mm.
garnered 1 million views, 1 million and
Mm.
one, because I because I was glued, right? And I think about Jane, but before I get to actually let's stay with Jane because then I want to get to the wig
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I've worn a wig
Mhm. We
myself.
all have, right?
That's right. That's right. So when you talk about Jane, was Jane stuck? And just give us some pointers on how did you unstuck Jane, like some specifics.
Yeah. It usually comes from a place of frustration, right?
Yeah.
So Jane was getting performance reviews that were saying, "You're doing a great job. Keep it up." But she wasn't moving anywhere.
Yeah.
And she's just like, "I'm not understanding what it is that's getting in the way. Like I don't know what it is." And I said, "So let's take it. Let's dig a little deeper here. Do people know that you want to move up?" And she's just like, "I think so." I said, "How are you showing up in meetings?" Excuse me, and she wasn't showing up in meetings. She was
Hmm.
kind of hiding in the minutia and the word. Everyone was talking around her and she was not involving herself in the conversation. So it took some practicing. Her wig was that she wasn't feeling confident to speak up and ask for what she wanted. So we kicked it down. We got like boil it down to the simplest of things of just getting her comfortable and confident in speaking in front of her leadership team. So it just started with just think about a topic you want to talk about at that next meeting. Write it out. Write the question out. If you feel like you're unsure about it, run it by the meeting runner. Practice speaking up more. So we just got her to that speaking up more in those meetings, and that took a few weeks.
Okay.
And the more that she did that, the more confident she felt of speaking up. Then she started taking on point of contact or subject matter expert roles where she was reporting out at these meetings.
Yeah.
Okay, now she's
Yeah.
reporting. Then she got her PA, right? So she got this PA, and there were things that were on the performance appraisal that were a little left of center, that were not exactly what she had been hearing feedback from consistently.
Okay.
So we said, okay, like now we're going to pause. This is another opportunity for you to get unstuck. Where's the truth? So when you're reading a PA, it is feedback based on the opinion of the person you're reporting to.
Hmm.
Is there truth in some of this information? If there's not, what kind of questions can you ask to give you some more specifics and clarity? So we wrote out the questions, we role played. So again, this is the next step. Laying out that action plan. So we had her lay out the action plan. She had the questions. She responded and asked those questions. They could not support the information that they put down there. So they were like, well, we got to take this out. We
Yeah.
don't have data to support
Right.
this poor performing PA. So they rewrote the PA together. She shared her intention of moving up in the organization. They gave her more roles, and more people started seeing her speaking up in those meetings.
Hmm.
They felt more confident. They're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so it was contagious.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
unstuck, her using her voice got more people to speak up. And eventually, because she stood up to her leadership and challenged their feedback and really kind of revealed that there wasn't truth to the feedback, she was promoted and then ultimately left that organization and became a CEO of another organization.
Nice.
So it was just interesting that it just starts with the small. If you just start small, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, you don't have to be, coming out the gate like Oprah Winfrey, like, super eloquent
Right.
and,
Right.
owning the room. But we just started small with, what's the thing that's getting in your way? Using your voice. Okay, well, let's give you some practice. And the more she practiced, the better she felt, the more confident she felt and the more contagious it was, and
Yeah.
more people started using their voice, and she got rid of that wig of just hiding her light under the bushel. So her
Nice.
wig of shyness totally gone. Now she's killing it.
So I know Jane's and I know John's,
Mhm.
and I know Jane's and John's as hiring managers. I know that, or leaders, and I know them as employees and contributors. I do also know that science says confidence over competence every day, all day, every day. If you don't speak, you can be the smartest person in the room, and it's not going to be there. And if you don't have
Right.
advocates to help you bridge that voice, and so the simplicity of what you're saying is just start small, but just
Start
speak
small.
up. Yeah.
Yep, start somewhere.
Yeah.
Start small and start somewhere. It's gotta start somewhere. And, I think a lot of times when we're having meetings and doing PAs, we always
Yeah.
think we've gotta have everything memorized and
Yeah.
like we're doing our own TEDx talks
Yeah. Yeah.
in the meetings. We don't need to be that prepared,
Right.
like, write it down. Have
Yeah.
your notes, like, use your notes. There's no shame in having your notes there to reference.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Well, you have a notebook and you have a process. So let's talk about that because I love it. I love it. Talk about that process on damn, I'm good. Go.
Damn, I'm good. Yeah, I still have my
I
damn I'm
love it.
good folder. I
I love
I
it.
really do. I enjoy my dig folder, and I'm glad that you love it too. I That's one of the first things I ask my clients to do is to create their dig folder.
Yeah.
And if they are team leaders, I ask them to create a dig folder for their team members as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Because that makes the PA process even easier. Because
Yeah.
if you've got a quarterly dig, at least one dig per quarter, you've got their PA done. Like their year-end review, you just copy, paste, and throw it in there. You don't
Yep.
have less work. I'm all about efficiency. But dig stands for our damn I'm good or damn I'm great, whatever it is. But I really love it because we don't give ourselves enough credit.
Right.
Sometimes we think it's just us doing our job, but there are some really amazing things that we get through the day and we
Yeah.
need to write it down. Like I used to mentor people on like the down low. I used
Mhm.
to just people come in and I would mentor and coach them and just kind of blow it off. But I was like, you know what? I should count how many people come in here
Mhm.
that I'm mentoring and coaching and see what and track their progress. And I'm going to put that on my PA
Yeah.
as, something else that I'm doing. And
Yeah.
because my manager kind of saw people kind of coming in and going like a little rotating door in my office. And she was like, what are you doing? So I was able to track that. And it feels good, when you are able to look at your dig folder and see the accomplishments and realize no matter whether it's a small or big accomplishment, it's still an accomplishment that's worth celebrating. We
Yeah.
don't do that enough. We
Yeah.
we do the year end like, whoo, we made it, or even quarterly, whoo, we made it. But what about pushing that needle a little bit? What about that
Yeah.
one person on your team that just moved the needle a little bit more where they're engaging and they're not, calling out, they're actually participating more, they're actually contributing more to the project or the scope of the project. So those little things, those need to be celebrated, and we need to pat ourselves on the back. It's a
Absolutely.
really good ego booster too.
Absolutely. So I happen to do that when I do my performance review. When I
Mhm.
actually write my goals, I get all the goals of my peers
Mm.
and I write their goals also into my performance review. And if they're not successful, then I'm not successful. And anybody that I mentor, I track exactly what, they came to me as a person that was a high performer
Mhm.
from another department. They wanted to learn project management. I took them under the wing. This is where they are. And I think it's important to write down everything that you do to add value to the company
Yes.
versus just you got three goals, you write about three goals, because then you really diminish that shine, right?
Right? You're boxing yourself in.
Yes.
And what brings out that ask, when you make that ask and say, I want to get to the next level,
Yeah.
I want to be a senior level executive versus the mid-level manager that I am. It makes a difference because you're able to articulate all that shine,
Yeah.
you're able to speak to it and how it ties back to the business. That
Gotcha.
is the key, how does it tie back to I remember one of my mentors, she said to me, I was like, man, I did this, I did that. I worked on this project, I worked on that project, and I'm still not getting promoted. And she goes,
Mhm.
Joyel, I hear a lot of me, but what about what you did for the business? And
Right.
I was like,
Right.
what? And it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. When I'm positioning myself for that next level, I need to make sure, how did I make the business better?
It's a value conversation, right?
A value conversation,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah. So as we're talking and I'm thinking about the Janes and the Johns of the world.
Mhm,
And I talked about I wouldn't say the hiring managers, let's just call the manager,
mhm,
right? So Joyel's gonna write a letter to the manager because this manager could do better at getting the Janes and Johns of the world to bring their shine out.
mhm,
What is what's the dear manager?
mhm.
Here's 3 things, 2 things, 1 thing that you need to know that will help your organization be better because you've elevated the Janes and Johns of.
Mm.
What are you saying to them?
What's one thing to know? I think one of the biggest things I would want them to know is that what they do on a daily basis matters. Because a lot of times as a people leader, it's a bit of a thankless job, right? Like no
Yeah.
one, you might have somebody who knocks it out of the park and you're
Yeah.
like, so you saw
Yeah.
that, right? You're like,
Yeah.
it's got some of that. No one's patting you on the back for that
Right.
because it's your job,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So I think it's important. I would say that one of the most important things is to let them know that you matter. You would not be in this role if the organization didn't think you had the knowledge, skills, and ability to do this.
Okay.
So keep doing it. And if you feel like you are getting overwhelmed or if this is too much, know that it is okay to ask for help. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness.
Nice.
So if you're feeling like overwhelmed and that you can't, like there's just, you're hitting a block, that you should always ask for help. There is no shame in that. I
Yeah.
think a lot of times we feel that um, things get out of control and we've got to figure it out. And it's almost like that I Love Lucy, and I'm dating myself, but that I Love Lucy episode where she's at the chocolate factory and she's trying to eat all the chocolates in
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
mouth
Yeah.
up the
Yeah.
conveyor belt and she just can't stop. And that's how change is in the work world.
Yeah.
Like, chocolate keeps on coming and you just
Yeah.
try to stuff your face. But there's a limit. And I think most leaders who are leading people need to know that when you've reached your limit, you need to ask for help.
Yeah.
Ask.
Nice. So now I'm going to go back to the wig. I just thought that was so amazing where you talked about, I'm putting on this wig and who am I trying to please? Right. That was so powerful. Right. So I know I've worn wigs. I know that things will come up and I'll have to battle. Curtis, you're putting on a wig. And I never put it into this context until I saw your TEDx. But what I would be saying is this goes against what you said you wanted, but yet you're over here looking at this and allowing yourself to either compare or judge,
Mhm.
right? So I want to hear a little bit more about your wig journey, but
Mhm.
but really give me a nugget like you're talking to me as if you're talking to the entire audience on, hey, how do I identify that I have a wig on? And then how do I get that wig off and gain the confidence and the freedom to just be the best me that I can be?
Those are some good questions, Curtis. The biggest thing to identify when identifying the wig is that you have to you ask yourself, what's holding me back, right? So there's usually a fear associated with it, fear of public speaking, fear of social interaction,
Hmm.
and so I typically, when I find myself, like if I'm doom scrolling on my phone, I'm like, what am I avoiding? What am I
Mm.
avoiding? So I'm like, there's got to be a fear here. What I should be doing, or stay out of the shoulds. Don't should all over yourself. But what I
I love
would
how you
be,
played on these words.
I have to give credit to Grace Killalay.
Okay.
She's a scientist who
Don't
told me this
shit all
very
over
often.
yourself. I
Don't shit
love
all
it.
over yourself. But what I could be doing is creating content. One of the biggest wigs that I'm grappling with right now is increasing my visibility
Hmm.
and doing more podcast interviews, doing
Yeah.
more solo videos,
Yeah.
and creating that kind of content. and it's not productive. Me being on here and feeling worse about myself is not productive.
Right.
So I have to ask myself, what am I supposed to be doing? What could I be doing? Is this bringing me value? And if it's not moving me forward, that's a wig. I
Yeah.
know it's a wig. So I have social media blocks on my phone so that I can only look at social media for 15 to 30 minutes. And then it shuts me down and then I'm like locked out.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, I'm locked out. I got to do it. So what I would say is when you're trying to identify what your wig is, it's clearly something that's getting in the way of you making progress.
Okay.
So I would have major anxiety, from my literal wig. I would just be like worried about how people would think about me, worrying about the style of my wig. I was obsessed with the wig and making people feel more comfortable. So what are you doing that's making people feel more comfortable?
Yeah.
Is hearing a microaggression, somebody making some kind of backhanded comment and everyone's kind of like laughing and you're not saying anything about it. And it's really bothering you and it's getting in the way of you working with that person
Yeah.
because you're already creating a story in your mind about that person. Is that the wig? Is it not speaking up and saying, really did not appreciate what you said the other day? Your wig could be avoidance,
Hmm.
something. Your wig could look like over communicating. Sometimes when
Mm.
people are nervous, they talk a lot, like, and they're
Hmm. Hmm.
saying a
Hmm.
lot. So they just kind of want to fill up the room because they're afraid of not being seen as a credible person. So they just talk a lot.
Yeah.
That could be your wig that you're over communicating. There's so many different ways, but it's more about what is getting in the way and what are you doing? How are you contorting yourself to make other people more comfortable so
Got it.
that, everyone feels more comfortable than you do.
Yeah. Right. You're the only one in the room that's uncomfortable, but
Mhm.
your goal is to make everybody else feel comfortable.
Right. Going along to get along.
Wow.
And there's been tons of stories, about, reports of surgeons, and people, the whole surgical staff, and the surgeon is, running the surgery and doing all these kinds of mistakes and no one wants to speak up.
Yeah.
No one wants to speak up because they're afraid of retaliation.
Yeah.
Lives are at stake at that
Yeah.
point in time, and no one speaks up. That's their wig, the silence. Silence can be literally deadly in some situations because they're afraid of looking bad in front of this person or getting fired or what have you. But speaking up can literally be life-changing. So what is getting in the way? And really, what's at stake if you don't take that wig off?
Got it.
You lose. What could get in the way of that if you're not taking that wig off? So those are the questions that you can ask yourself as you're identifying what that wig is and how to move forward.
Got it.
Off.
Okay. Hey, I just wanted to take a quick break to say thank you for tuning into the Vision to Reality podcast. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're ready to level up your business or career, I've got some great resources for you. To turn your business vision into reality, my book, Vision to Reality, Start Working, Start Living, is available now and filled with strategies to help you bring your goals to life. Plus, the companion Vision to Reality digital workbook is the perfect tool to guide you step by step through the process. You can grab both at curtisljenkins.com. And if you're preparing for your next job search, check out my book, The Only Job Search Book You Will Ever Need. This book uses proven marketing strategies that have been used for over 60 years to help you rise above competition to land your dream job. You can grab your copy at curtisljenkins.com. And I have great news. This book will be updated with a new version that includes recent impacts on the job search process, such as remote work, AI, government policy changes, and much more. Thanks again for listening. Now let's get back to the conversation. Boy, every time you talk, I get these questions that come, right? And I know what I want to ask you, and something else comes in. So I'm going to ask you this, and I'm thinking about your reach, right? So you've been all over the world, and I'm going to call that Amazon. And then you've been to the moon. I'm going to call that NASA, right? And I thought about the famous case in NASA where this gentleman spoke up And I don't know if they let the rocket go and it exploded because he kept talking about what was going to happen and nobody wanted to listen to him because they didn't believe him. But what was it like working with and at those companies and what did you learn about yourself when you did it?
Well, I have this preconceived notion that, we was talking with rocket scientists that
Yeah.
I was going to be too basic. Like, these are like the brightest minds in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And I felt like what I was talking about would be too basic. We were talking about goal setting and how to
Yeah.
be a goal digger, right? So that was one of
A
my
gold digger.
so I thought to myself, I'm like, I got to make this presentation like super intellectual. And then again, big of insecurity. I
Yep.
was, this is getting in the way. I need to they hired me because they wanted me
Hmm.
and how I keep it real. And I just shoot from the hip and I'm engaging. So I was like, I'm just going to keep this the way it is
Yep.
and I'll take the feedback. So I was able to take that insecurity wig off and just really get to understand, from the event managers, like who's in the room. And she told me, there are rocket scientists, there are administrative staff, it's a mixed bag. And I just was myself and they loved it. And I felt like speaking to them, I think the key in public speaking is yes, to understand your audience, but to
Hmm.
understand, is there anything that's coming up that I should, be aware of, speaking to that instead of poo-pooing it away. I've made some major mistakes in just ignoring what they're telling me, but they were going through, it's the beginning of the year. They were going through, new year performance appraisals. They were creating new goals for their teams. And I just needed to keep the basics, stick to
Hmm.
the fundamentals of what I was speaking. And I just spoke in plain English and it went over so well. When you're yourself and you're confident in the content that you're presenting, it's great. When you start sprinkling in all the extra stuff to make them like ooh and ah, and you're not 100% confident in the content,
Yeah. Yeah.
it can crash and burn, just bad
Wow.
space
Yeah. There you go.
space launch. So
Yeah.
it's all about just being yourself and being confident in the content, and so that's what won me over, like they won them over, excuse me. Just being myself and just letting that go, like, of having to put on airs. When I present in front of higher education, I'm always like, "Okay, I need to have all these studies and this, that, the other, and these." I don't like reporting out stats and
Yeah.
numbers. My jam. It's not my thing. I'm
Yeah.
not getting a PhD. You all are PhDs. You wanna know about how to conduct a performance review. I'm gonna tell you, this is
Yeah.
how you do it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like taking that wig off of like assuming the pretentiousness or assuming that you don't know more than you do. You know more than they do because you were called in as the subject matter expert.
Right. Right.
So speaking to them on the moon and speaking to the world with Amazon, that was an amazing experience because I was able to speak to all of their Black employees.
Yeah.
Black Employee Resource Group came together and they had this huge summit. I mean, who knows the Black experience more than somebody who's lived the Black experience
That's right.
at
That's right.
work, right?
That's right.
And they're working in customer service. I know that world. That's my lane. That's how I was raised in corporate America. So I get it. I get it. And so when you can speak to that and relate, that's where it really is. I mean, yes, they're rocket scientists. They're all over the world, changing the world with the products they're selling. But at the core of it, they're human. And if you can get to that thing that they relate to, the things they most relate to, like finding the goals and
Yeah.
making the next step and stepping up and campaigning for their careers, that's where the magic is.
Got it. Got it. So relating to humans,
Mhm.
and I want to dig a little bit more into the vulnerable human side of you, if you don't mind.
Are you gonna make
And
me cry?
no, I'm looking for you to make me cry, actually. I want you to think about, and this could be Jane, or it could be John, or it could be another person, but there was somebody that you helped that was
Mm.
so far gone, and that after you helped them, you got to learn a little bit more about yourself, and you know that you made this world a better place.
Mm.
Who was that? What was their story? What did you do? What did you learn?
There's a lot of really great stories that I could come to mind, but one in particular comes to mind. She was one of my first clients.
Hmm.
And she signed on for a year of coaching, and she worked in the healthcare space, like the adult healthcare space, assisted living space. And I was like, I don't know anything about assisted living at all, but she was a
Hmm.
leader.
Hmm.
She was a leader of color, and I was just like, I get it. Like, she was just really working with a team that she was struggling, trying to get productivity out of. And I remember how hard it was.
Hmm.
And she also felt this gnawing in her soul about getting her PhD. She just really wanted it, but she was focused on her job. And I said, well, why does it have to be either or? Why can't it be and? And she just was kind of like, wow, yeah, I never thought about that. And, we worked through getting her team more productive and throughout the whole 1 year session. And she got her team rocking and rolling. She enrolled in a PhD program. And that was kind of like where we ended, right?
Hmm.
Fast forward 5 years later, I get this invitation to witness her dissertation, her defending her dissertation for her doctorate.
Nice.
And it was the most rewarding experience to witness somebody who had this dream and almost didn't reach for it
Hmm.
because she thought it had to be an either or situation.
Yeah.
She said, I want you to be there because without your help, I would not have pursued my dream of getting my doctorate in education. So she is now a doctor of education, and it was a great defense. It was amazing. And she's doing so much more in the role that she has. It's just so wonderful to see somebody flourish, and kind of grow as a leader
Hmm.
and achieve their goals. And she still to this day, I mean, it was probably about 10 years ago, a little less than 10 years ago that we started working together. And she still keeps in touch with me to keep me posted on her progress and her success. And she's grateful. And it just makes me so happy to see that something that you did several years ago is
Yeah.
still positively impacting
Yeah.
someone's life and that they're still using those tools. And it just makes me proud. It just really
Yeah.
makes me proud.
Well, I tell you what, I got the goosebumps,
So
and
did
I would say, damn, you're good. Oh, that is awesome. I love hearing stories like that because at the end, what we just talked about, this is all about humans and people, right?
I.
And our goal is to help others. What was one or two things during this conversation for you that I didn't actually ask you, but given what you do, that you would want to share?
Biggest thing, you asked me a lot of questions, but I think one of the things that I would love for everyone to know is that I am still a work in progress. I definitely don't know it all. But as
Right.
soon as I figure it out, I like
Right.
to share it with everybody.
Yeah.
And I definitely I struggle with my wig of rest. I do not, I don't wear that. I need to, of not resting. I guess my wig is not resting. I need to
Hmm.
rest more. And I'm always striving to rest more. And I think that one of the things that I would love to impart on your audience is that it is so important to take care of yourself. And if you don't take care of yourself first,
Hmm.
how are you going to take care of others? As a career caregiver, I always put others' needs ahead of myself. And so I am constantly trying to do that. And I want to remind everyone to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Rest. Rest could be active, it could be passive. Read a book, touch some grass, you know, connect with friends. If somebody passes your mind, send them a text message. If you can't pick up the phone and call them, send them a message.
Yeah.
That's the universe's way of saying connection. Connection
Yeah.
is so important. So I mean, it's not that you didn't ask it, but it's just those things that I want people to know that, you're always a work in progress. There's always something new to learn about yourself and to take care of yourself. Just keep
Awesome.
taking care of yourself.
That is great advice. And I'm doing it myself, trying my best. Make sure I stay regimented on my time that I go to bed, the time
Yes.
that I get up, how I think, the anxiety that I get. Anxiety is about, there are times when things are going well and I get anxiety about the success, right? Like,
Yes.
what if this blows up? And I get that more than what if it fails because I've trained myself with being okay with failing
Mhm.
because I know that I'm working towards something.
Yes.
But still, that just making my mind rest is very, very difficult.
Hard. It's really challenging, you know? And so I am constantly reinventing myself and figuring out ways to do that, you
Yeah.
know? What does that look like? You know, it could look like lighting a candle. It could look like I just labeled my nail polish bottles, you know, like just something that just takes your mind into a different, you know, a different place.
And you know what somebody will do? They'll come in, they'll see your nail polish bottles label. They'll look at you, they'll talk about how organized you are. Then they'll compare themselves, right? And then they'll start putting on a wig of
Yes.
saying what I'm not.
I know that's another thing, Curtis.
Yeah.
So I get into the comparison zone all
Yeah.
the looking on LinkedIn and I'm like, "Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look at that award. I want that award." Or, "Oh, look at where they are. I want to go there."
Yeah.
And I start comparing and instead of celebrating people's success, I start comparing. That's like, uh-oh, that's like a danger zone. So when I
Yes.
know that I'm doing that, I have this little mantra that I say to myself. I say, "To compare is to despair, to admire is to aspire." So,
Mm.
do I am I comparing
Repeat that,
myself?
please. Repeat it, please.
To
Come on.
compare is to despair, to admire is to aspire.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you for that because I'm definitely going to use that.
Yeah, yeah, use it a lot. I say it every day because 'cause I'm
Yeah.
up in there and I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's a great program. I should do a program like that." You know, and I'm like, "What?" So I'm like, am I comparing myself or am I aspiring? You
Yeah.
know, I admire this person, I admire what they're doing, and then I fix my face, fix my
Yeah.
comment, and I keep it moving, so
Got it. Got it. So what's next for you? What do you got going on? What you got coming up? Come on. I know
well,
you
it
got something good.
just so happened right before we started recording this
Yeah.
podcast episode, I, have been invited to speak about work-life balance or, like, work-life flow on ABC News Live weekend tomorrow morning, and
Nice.
so I will be on their telecast. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna be able to be in the studio, but I will be telecasting at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so that's happening. But I'll definitely be sharing the link for folks that may not be able to make it. And then
Awesome.
what else is coming up? I'm speaking at the National Alopecia Areata Foundation conference. I'm co-emceeing this year.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
super excited about that. And so that's a 4-day extravaganza. And then next month, I'm speaking. I was honored to be invited again to speak at my sororities leadership summit, seminar or workshop. I'm going to say it's a conference, leadership
Yeah.
conference in Anaheim, California, and I get to share my insights on "No is a complete sentence," which is from the book, and talking about setting boundaries. So that is happening, and then I'm doing a few more private engagements for clients, and still open for coaching. So if anyone is looking for executive coaching, I'm still available to do one-on-one coaching. And then in the fall, I think I'm going to release a resiliency workshop. It's a masterclass of sorts, group coaching, and
Hmm.
it's called Rooted in Rising. And it's for professional women, leaders, women who are in leadership roles, so that they can learn some tools on just reflecting on their resiliency, how they can strengthen their resiliency skills as they move through their roles. It's a 4-week program. And I think I'm going to relaunch it in the fall. I did a beta this spring, and I think I'm gonna kick it off again in the fall. And
Oh man, I know
and
it's going to be amazing. And you got to make sure I get all of that information to put it in the show notes for people to be able to reach out to you. You are incredible.
thank
How
you.
can people reach you?
Well, I am on all of the platforms, but, the biggest way you can reach me is just going to my website, just crawfordleadership.com, and there's a contact me form, so you can put in if you've got any questions or if you wanna book me for a speaking gig or coaching or whatever, or just say, "Hey," you can go in and fill out the form, and I'll be in touch.
Awesome. Let me ask you one more question. So you're going to be speaking. Tell me again the Alopecia Areata
Oh, yes.
Society?
The
Yeah.
National Alopecia Areata Foundation, or NAF. We like to
NAF.
call it NAF. The NAF
Got
conference
it.
in Chicago. I think there's still tickets available, and it's next week. So next Thursday through Sunday, I'm going to be
Yeah.
with my pals.
So with that, I want to ask you about alopecia
Mhm.
and how you've made it a superpower versus an issue, right? We know about the Will Smith, Jada Smith
Mhm.
thing and how that was kind of looked at from a negative perspective, whatever. But talk to me slash us about that and what do we need to know and how can we get involved, even though, we're not suffering from the same thing, but just to connect and understand more about it and be supportive.
A large number, and thank you for asking about that because I love talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm a legislative advocate for it, so I get to go to the Hill and talk to our senators and congressional leaders about the importance of the research and the funding needed for it. Alopecia areata patients. It is a condition. It's a disease where our hair follicles just don't want to grow. They
Hmm.
just stop
Hmm.
growing, and some conditions are a little bit patchy is what I have. Alopecia areata is the patchy baldness.
Gotcha.
Some, lose their hair completely everywhere and
Hmm.
just lose it on their head. So there are different versions of it, but I believe that most people know at least one person that every time I talk to somebody about it, they know at least one person that
I
has
absolutely
alopecia
do. Yep.
areata. And so the thing about it is that as a young person, being bald is not something that they chose. It's chose them.
Hmm.
So navigating in that space at the conference is really great. They have a kids camp for every kid who looks like them. They can see kids that look like them. Parents learn about the different research for getting their hair back or dealing with the psychological effects of the hair loss. So it can be a very traumatizing experience. Sometimes kids are just not nice, kids aren't always accepting. So this camp gives like kids more confidence about, living in their own truth. And it gives the adults who have patients with alopecia areata more confidence in living in their truth. There's no shame in wearing wigs. Sometimes people go to the conference and they are not wearing their wig for the first time. They're
Hmm.
bald out loud. And then, you've got folks that are learning more about what wigs and head coverings they can utilize. And then there's hair care products, scalp care products for us to purchase, and just learning more about all the advances that are happening in the research of alopecia areata. So the whole premise of the organization is to educate and also to embrace the community and just to know that it's not just hair. It's more than that. It's a movement. It's a community, and it's a community of acceptance. It's a community of education. I could talk about it all day. I just love being involved in it. And when I discovered it during the pandemic, I was just like, how do I get involved? Like, I want to get involved as much as possible. I want to be a champion for the organization. And that's just what I've been doing. But it's really just more about educating folks. And, I think a lot of times people used to assume that I was undergoing cancer treatment, when you see a
Mm.
bald person.
Yeah.
And the assumptions made. That's why I opened the TEDx talk with all of those true phrases. Those are actual phrases that
Yeah.
people have said to me through my life. But one of them was that I don't think I included in the TEDx talk was, is your baldness by choice or by circumstance? And I usually answer both.
Hmm.
It's a kind of a little bit of both, and explain what's going on. But yeah, it's a lot of education and
Yeah.
getting around the stigma of it. More and more people are living bold and bald lives. More people are living more confidently wearing their wigs, knowing that there are other people out there rocking their wigs. And I love my wigs, but let me tell you, in the summertime it's just a little too hot.
Yeah.
So but I love having them, and I love being able to change it up, but there shouldn't be any shame about how you show up in the world, and I think that this organization does a really great job of helping people with alopecia areata show up bigger and bolder and balder in this world. So I I really appreciate what it does.
Well, I got to tell you, for me, every encounter I have with you is you showing up big and bold. So you got it going on.
Yeah.
And I was so happy to just be able to get your time to join me on this show. It was for me very, very incredible. And I'm hoping it was the same for you. So, I want to thank you so much for sharing all your gifts, those words and your wordplay. Oh my God. I got so many new ones like gold digger. I love it. I love it. So Joyelle, what are some other things coming up as it relates to, all the work that you're doing and things you're doing with alopecia?
Well, I've got to share, in addition to the conference that's happening next week in June in Chicago, there is a walk for alopecia. And Philadelphia actually has been listed as the title, like, sponsor city for this year. So it's going to be a big, big celebration. And that takes place on Saturday, September 27th. And I'm pretty sure that there will be a lot more information about where we're meeting up and everything else, but you can sponsor or register to walk, or you can walk where you are. Like, so if you're someplace not, you're watching and you're not in the Philadelphia area, you can start your own little campaign to sponsor the Walk for Alopecia walk that's happening
Awesome.
Saturday,
Awesome.
September
So make
27th.
sure September 27th, and make sure we get those links so we can get these sponsors and those that participate if that's in the area. So thank you again, Joyelle. It's been a
Excellent.
pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. Listen, we're going to take all the things that you talked about and you make sure we get the links. We put it in the show notes, get it out to people. Joyel Crawford, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. This has been my pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Curtis.
All right. Tune in next week for another episode of the Vision to Reality podcast, where we focus on leaders who are inspired to bring their visions to reality. That's a wrap on today's episode of the Vision to Reality podcast. A huge thank you to today's guests. You can find all of their contact information in any resources mentioned in the show notes below. Also, can you do me a big favor? If you found today's conversation valuable, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a comment and a review, and share it with a friend or colleague who could benefit from the information shared today. And remember, vision without action is just a dream. Let's turn those big ideas into reality. I'll see you in the next episode.